Namaskar. Kem Cho. Welcome, everybody. A very warm welcome to the webinar being held today, Discover the UNESCO World Heritage Sites of Gujarat by Gujarat Tourism. I would like to personally welcome our distinguished speakers who will be sharing their perspectives and insights on the familiarization webinar on UNESCO World Heritage Sites of Gujarat. I would like to welcome Mr. Eric Folt, Director and UNESCO Representative to Bhutan, India, Maldives, and Sri Lanka. Mr. Vinod Zuchi, IAS retired, former Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Ms. Rupinder Barar, Additional Director General, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Ms. V. Vidyavati, IAS, Director General, Archaeological Survey of India. Ms. Jyoti Mayar, President, Travel Agents Association of India, Thai. Mr. Ajay Prakash, President, Travel Agents Federation of India, TAFI. And Mr. P.P. Khanna, President, Association of Domestic Tour Operators of India, ADTOI. Mr. Rajiv Mehra, President, Indian Association of Tour Operators, IATO. It is my great pleasure to welcome Mr. Jinu Devan, Managing Director and Commissioner of Tourism, Government of Gujarat, and his able team who are committed to putting Gujarat on the world tourism map as a preferred destination for every visitor, be it international or domestic. Heritage is a connection to your roots, your ancestry, your sense of belonging to a rich and remarkable historic past. Heritage touches something deep within us. Heritage is something we are very proud of. When the world recognizes a site or destination as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, we are suddenly gifted by a deep sense of happiness that here is another major discovery of our ancient past, which has come to be recognized on the world stage. The site immediately becomes a major source of wonder, awe, and inspiration. And we all want to go there, see it for ourselves, and experience that deep thrill that comes from our deepest instincts, our nostalgia, the attachment to our past history. The heritage destination attracts footfalls, and people want to be the first to visit this historic site. Talk about it, take pictures, share, marvel, create a social buzz that becomes louder with each passing day. And in the process, it becomes a tourist attraction holding immense historic value with a high economic valuation. The state of Gujarat is home to 4 UNESCO World Heritage Sites acknowledged as contributing to the shared heritage of humanity. These include the walled city of Ahmedabad, Champaner near Pavagadh Archaeological Park, Rani Ki Vav at Patan, and Dholavira, the latest Indian site added to the UNESCO World Heritage List. But first, what exactly does it really mean to get the prestigious UNESCO World Heritage Site recognition? World Heritage Sites designated by UNESCO are judged to contain cultural and natural heritage considered to be of outstanding value to humanity. The site, landmark, or location immediately gets reactivated and valued on the global map as one of the world's most valuable places. This in turn helps preserve centuries-old remains of a site, customs, monuments, or even a city, bringing value to the history and culture of that particular destination. It also importantly protects the archaeological area, keeping intact its integrity and authenticity for future generations. Greater awareness leads to a general rise in the level of protection and conservation given to heritage properties, bringing them back to our shared past and future and into the domain of global and domestic travel and tourism destinations. Going back to Gujarat, in 2017, Ahmedabad was declared as the first World Heritage Site of the country, with 2,600 heritage sites and over 24 ASI protected monuments, joining the privileged club of heritage cities like Paris, Cairo, and Edinburgh for its iconic architectural legacy and vibrant culture. I will touch upon only one more for now. Dholavira is the latest site recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This unique Harappan civilization city in Gujarat surprises with its sophisticated water conservation techniques, urban planning, and drainage systems. Artifacts of stone, shell, copper, even jewelry made of terracotta, semi-precious stones, and gold have been found at the site. Such discoveries of our ancient links into the past help us to understand our present and is key in more ways than one to take forward and preserve our ancient civilizations. Preserving and conserving such sites is possible with the government support, with the help of professional bodies and archaeological experts, think tanks, cultural organizations, travel and tourism bodies, and niche tourism followers who bring the destination global attention. Only then can tourism be enabled. Once a site or excavation is notified as a site, it immediately demands restoration, conservation, and promotion of the whole area as a tourist spot. While these efforts are on all professional levels, we have seen how much attention, high visibility these wonderful destinations receive when countries and heads of state bring visiting international delegations during official bilateral visits. They immediately go on the global mindset. This in turn brings us to the significant and most relevant webinar of today, Discover the UNESCO World Heritage Sites of Gujarat. Our panel of distinguished leaders are not only committed ambassadors of our legacy and sustainable tourism, but also forward thinkers who can take these UNESCO World Heritage Sites to the next level of tourism development, a next level where you and I and the whole world can celebrate and admire each time we visit these wonderful destinations. I would now like to invite our distinguished speaker, Mr. Eric Falt, Director and UNESCO representative to Bhutan, India, Maldives, and Sri Lanka, to share his thoughts with us on the UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Gujarat and their significance.
Distinguished speakers, colleagues at Gujarat Tourism and today's traveler, and members in the audience, it is an honor for me to be speaking today about UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the culturally vibrant state of Gujarat, India. This discussion comes at a very momentous time, for only recently, at the latest session of the World Heritage Committee this last July, the 40th World Heritage Site for India, the treasure trove that is Dholavira, a Harappan city located in Gujarat, was inscribed on the World Heritage List and formally made a part of the shared heritage of humanity. As the only international organization with a dedicated mandate on culture, UNESCO seeks to encourage the identification, protection, and preservation of cultural and natural heritage of outstanding universal value to humanity around the world. This is embodied, as I hope you know, in the 1972 Convention concerning the protection of the world cultural and natural heritage. Almost 50 years since its adoption by UNESCO, the Convention continues to encourage state parties to work collaboratively to address fundamental issues pertaining to world heritage, as well as contemporary and evolving challenges. UNESCO World Heritage Sites symbolize the evolution of humanity and represent connections between our shared past and future. Gujarat is home to 4 such World Heritage Sites: Champaner Pavagadh Archaeological Park, Rani Ki Vav, the Queen's Stepwell at Patan, the one site I most want to visit, but also the historic city of Ahmedabad and Dholavira, each of which represent a distinct cultural moment and a unique historical landscape. To speak of them briefly, I will start with Champaner Pavagadh Park, nestled in the outstanding landscape of Pavagadh Hills, offers insight into settlements from prehistoric to medieval periods and is the only complete and unchanged Islamic pre-Mughal city. Rani Ki Vav, situated on the banks of the Saraswati River, exhibits complex techniques of subterranean water architecture and artistic mastery of the Indian subcontinent. The historic city of Ahmedabad showcases the confluence of urban heritage and community spaces in a thriving multicultural setting. And last of note, the ancient city of Dholavira is one of the most remarkable and well-preserved urban settlements in South Asia, dating from the 3rd to mid-2nd millennium BC. These sites have not only augmented the cultural diversity of India, but now they also contribute to the history of humanity. I am delighted to note that occasions such as today's discussion actually enhance the visibility of these sites along with their landscapes and communities, presenting them to an even wider audience. As you may know, UNESCO has endeavored to support efforts globally to promote sustainable tourism and enhance the role of local communities in cultural tourism. The tourism industry has grown exponentially over the past decades in India, and it's one of the most viable means to foster community-based heritage conservation and culture-based development. The unprecedented times of the COVID-19 pandemic have highlighted the importance of sustainable cultural tourism and shed light on the numerous direct and indirect livelihoods that are tied to it. Building an appreciation for the link that communities share with their cultural heritage and shifting the vantage point to look at the wider historical environment, as envisioned in the 2011 UNESCO recommendation on the historic urban landscape, allow us to constantly rethink and reimagine our engagement with cultural heritage. UNESCO, in collaboration with governments and partners globally, aims to build the capacity of all stakeholders and provide the tools to manage tourism efficiently and benefit locally, especially under challenging circumstances such as the one we presently know. World Heritage Sites are humanity's collective inheritance, and it must thus be our collective impetus to preserve and present our heritage to all of humanity. I thank the organizers for this opportunity to engage with Gujarat's cultural heritage today and rediscover it with new impetus and vigor. Thank you.
Mr. Eric Folt, words will fall short to thank you for being a part of this webinar. The contribution of UNESCO, being the only international organization with a dedicated mandate on culture, UNESCO seeks to encourage the identification, protection, and preservation of the cultural and natural heritage of outstanding universal value to humanity around the world. On behalf of everyone, I take the opportunity to thank you for your support, and I'm sure with Gujarat's rich history and culture, we will soon be hearing about some new additions to the existing list. We will also be keen to hear about your experiences when you visit Gujarat in the near future. Thank you. We now have a wonderful video on Champaner to share with you all. May we have the video, please?
आइए आज मैं आपको चंपानेर ले चलता हूं. वेलकम टू चंपानेर, द यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ आर्किटेक्चर. भाईचारे का पाठ अगर पत्थरों से पढ़ना हो तो यहां आइए. ये इंडो सारासनिक शिल्पकला गवाह है हिंदू और मुस्लिम संस्कृति के मेलजोल की, उनके प्यार की. और ये जितने प्यार से खुदा ने इंसान को बनाया है, उससे भी ज्यादा प्यार से एक इंसान ने खुदा का ये घर बनाया है. आर्किटेक्चर का चैंपियन है चंपानेर. यूनेस्को ने इसे वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट का खिताब दिया हुआ है. ये कालिका माता, लाखों भक्त आते हैं इनके दर्शन करने हजारों साल से. यहाँ खुशबू है प्यार की, आशीर्वाद की, यहाँ खुशबू है गुजरात की। कब तक बैठे रहेंगे किताब लेके हाथ में? चलो कुछ दिन गुजारते हैं गुजरात में।
A big welcome to our next esteemed speaker, Mr. Vinod Zuchi, IAS retired, former Secretary Tourism, Government of India. A highly respected leader of the tourism fraternity, Mr. Zuchi's experience and knowledge is always sought out, and we look forward to his insightful thoughts and perspectives on Gujarat's UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
Friends, it's indeed my pleasure to address this august audience at the webinar on UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Gujarat. I must compliment Gujarat Tourism and particularly the MD of Gujarat Tourism, Mr. Chenu Diwan, for taking this yet another initiative of showcasing and popularizing the World Heritage destinations of the state to the travel and tourism fraternity of India and to the travelers. Friends, India is truly the land of eternal heritage, also because of the presence of a large number of World Heritage Sites. In fact, India is now in the super club of 40 nations, super club of 40 World Heritage Sites, with the sixth largest number of World Heritage Sites only after Italy, China, Spain, Germany, and France. And within India, friends, Gujarat is one of the topmost states with highest number of World Heritage destinations. Today, Gujarat, with its ancient history and rich heritage, is home to 4 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Friends, I had the privilege to visit some of these sites. The astoundingly beautiful stepwell Rani Ki Vav, built in 11th century, with more than 800 sculptures, is a marvel of craftsmanship of that age, a monument of royal secrets. And I would say that one of the finest stepwells, not just in Gujarat, but in the entire country. Champaner and Pavagadh are one of the most engaging historical attractions of India. They are the ornaments of world architectural masterpieces, the unique illustration of Indo-Islamic architecture, and a university of architecture where Hindu and Muslim cultures come together. In fact, this heritage city is also a success story of town planning and water harvesting way ahead of their times. Friends, with 600 years of history, Ahmedabad city has the rich architectural heritage in the form of Sidi Saeed Mosque, the Jama Masjid, the Raja and Rani Ka Hazira, the Swami Narayan Mandir, the Bhadra Fort, the Ajit Nath Jain Temple, and many more inside the walled city. They all speak volumes about the Indo-Islamic architecture and the strong secular character of Ahmedabad city. Dholavira, there is so much to tell about this place. Surrounded by the great run of Kutch, Dholavira tells the story of Indus Valley civilization from the development to the decay. It's a unique example of a world's earliest water conservation system, civil engineering, geology, hydrology, and the use of trigonometry. Friends, I should pause here because one can go on and on describing the marvels and mystery of the World Heritage Sites of Gujarat. It goes without saying that World Heritage Sites have always been a great attraction both for international and domestic travelers, and therefore have tremendous tourism value. What is therefore important for the tourism fraternity, including tourism ministry and Gujarat tourism, is how we can effectively reach, how we can develop, how we can showcase, and how we can promote these destinations to get the maximum tourism value and to accelerate the tourist footfall in a sustainable manner. Friends, in this context, I have a few suggestions to make. Firstly, seamless connectivity is the first requirement. Although Ahmedabad city and Rani Ki Vav, being close to Ahmedabad, are well connected with air and roads, Dholavira offers a big challenge of connectivity because of its unique geographical location. Therefore, an airstrip, helipads, and good road connectivity will make Dholavira as the best connected Indus Valley civilization sites in the world. Secondly, World Heritage Sites need to have world-class infrastructure. So we need good accommodation. We want wayside resorts, restaurants, world-class museums, and of course, seamless Wi-Fi and broadband connectivity, particularly around Dholavira, Champaner, and Rani Ki Vav. Thirdly, showcasing these sites in international and domestic travel marts as a USP of Gujarat is very essential. I remember in ITB Berlin of 2016, we put all the World Heritage Sites, 36 at that time, on translights around the perimeter of the Indian Pavilion. In fact, Gujarat tourism can also project these sites in the form of a circuit, the World Heritage Site Circuit, and travel trade must place them in the tour itineraries and the tour packages. And lastly, friends, Gujarat Tourism and the Ministry of Tourism should consider launching of a special campaign on World Heritage Sites of India and Gujarat. And I remember again 4 years ago, the Ministry of Tourism launched a domestic ad campaign on World Heritage Sites of India for domestic travelers. And I must say that it was quite effective and successful. Friends, there is a need to take both the international and domestic travelers beyond Taj Mahal, beyond Red Fort, Qutub Minar, and Agra Fort. And the outbound travelers of India must be made to visit these World Heritage Sites. I mean, I must say, Pehle Desh, Phir Pardesh. The 4 unique World Heritage Sites of Gujarat must be promoted to the top 10 destination club of India. And I must say that they have the potential. And I can also say for sure, Gujarat tourism has the desired will, the required resources, and the immense capability to convert these sites into topmost visited destinations. I once again congratulate Gujarat Tourism, the organizers for holding this webinar, and I'm sure that the webinar will lead to a sustainable roadmap for the World Heritage Sites of Gujarat. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Zuchi, thank you so much for that well-articulated message. I cannot hold myself without saying, I loved your statement, Pehle Desh, Phir Pardesh. The very practical inputs given by you on connectivity, sustainability, infrastructure, accommodation, etc., define a clear blueprint on the way forward to making incredible India truly incredible, incredible, incredible India. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our next esteemed speaker, Ms. V. Vidyavati, IAS, Director General, Archaeological Survey of India, who will share her deep understanding of the subject on hand, that is Gujarat's UNESCO World Heritage Sites. I do thank Ms. Vidyavati for joining us today.
Namaskar. It's a pleasure to address the audience at this webinar on UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Gujarat. It's a great initiative by Gujarat Tourism to familiarize these locations to travelers both from India and from outside of India. The state of Gujarat, with its rich history, is home to 4 of India's UNESCO's World Heritage Sites. The grandeur of each of these sites is unique and unparalleled. While Dholavira stands as sentinel to centuries that passed by, Champaner Pavagadh represents the tapestry of history frozen in time and space. And then we have Rani Ki Vav, which perhaps is one of the most elegant examples of public infrastructure, the crowning glory being the historic city of Ahmedabad. World Heritage is about celebrating what humanity has achieved to build and conserve. It is about our efforts of our ancestors from across the millennia. These monuments and sites have seen our known world changing for good and for bad. They have been witness to the changing force of time and technology. Our monuments are therefore living history. If only we care to spend time trying to understand what they convey. One common refrain which one hears, unfortunately, is that India has no tradition of recorded history. To those who say that, I would request them to visit our monuments. If it is not history in the monuments which you see, in the stones, in the reservoir of Dholavira, in the sculptures of Rani Ki Vav, what else is history? I would urge the participants of this webinar to look at the monuments as living history. Let us try to hear what they are trying to convey. And that would be our humble contribution to the wonder that is India. I wish the participants all success in their deliberations today. Thank you. Jai Hind.
What a truly inspiring address. I would like to thank Director General Archaeological Survey of India, Ms. V. Vidyavati, for speaking so passionately and sharing her love for ancient monuments as living history. Thank you for enlightening us with the takeaway thought that we should listen to what ancient monuments are trying to convey about the wonders that tell us about India. Thank you so much. We have an inspiring video on Ahmedabad heritage and city life to share with you all. I hope you enjoy it. May we have the video, please?
This is the city where you can revel in the serenity of ancient heritage. Discover the anecdotes of Rishi Dadhichi and Baba Maniknath's sacrifice. Indulge in the holiness of Sufi saints and prayers of goddess. Peek through the intricately crafted grids at the Siddhi Said Mosque. Witness the struggle of Satyagraha at the Gandhi Ashram. Take a dip in the ocean of endless love of royals and commemorate it with the sweetest sound of Nabat. Experience the marvel of Indo-Islamic architecture in the city. The murals of the pillars tell the heroic legends of the 1857 war. The unprecedented engineering of the swinging minarets amaze you. The historic journey of 607 years still holding the city strong, where small occasions are celebrated like a cutting chai. Festival means an opportunity for celebration. Fun takes you to boating, shopping, and spending time at lakefront. The Manchester of East is also the popular hub for education, the metropolis that will soon transform into a smart city. Come, witness the country's first World Heritage City, Ahmedabad. Come back to life. Come to Gujarat.
It is now my pleasure to invite the charismatic Mrs. Rupinder Bara, Additional Director General, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, to share her thoughts on a subject which is very close to her heart, heritage. We would like her to tell us her thoughts on Gujarat's UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
So good afternoon, namaste to everyone, and it's indeed a pleasure to be talking to all of you on this very interesting and a very, I should say, a very special webinar that the Gujarat government is organizing on the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. And what a, it could not have been, I should say, a better time, because Dholavira has just been added as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And when we look at heritage and we look at India, I think Dholavira is one of those places that really truly takes us back into timeless history that this land is known for. So I congratulate the Gujarat government for taking up the initiative of setting up a session on heritage. For a country like India, where we take a pride to belonging to that kind of an ancient part of Earth's history, where perhaps not too many civilizations actually are still maintaining themselves to be alive and kicking and growing, it's indeed a huge vertical, if I may say, from the tourism perspective, not only for all of us in India, but for people from around the world to come and visit us for our heritage, both tangible and intangible, is an absolutely incredible opportunity to visit incredible India in its various forms. What would you say for a subcontinent that has more than 1,600 languages, 4,000 cities, out of which the oldest living city, Varanasi, is there with us and is not just a living city, but is a buzzing city and carries so much history and culture forward. There are more than 700 tribal communities with their own folklore, tribal traditions, oral traditions, 600,000 villages. So I think when we're looking at heritage, and I must congratulate you and also exhort all of you who are attending this webinar that I think we need to dive a little deeper and truly start digging out the extremely precious and treasures that this country has. And how should we be preserving them, conserving them, and also should be taking them to the world at large, and not just to the world which is out of India, but to all of us in India. It's extremely important that we build our national pride through these cultural elements, through these elements of heritage. And Gujarat, I also know that has come out recently with its heritage tourism policy, which is a fantastic initiative. In fact, we in the ministry are taking a lot of cues from that policy, and we are hoping that we're going to soon come out with a document which we would love to share with everyone. Take your responses on that, because we do believe and understand, and we take that cue from Gujarat, that not only do we need to work towards preserving and conserving state held heritage, but also the privately held heritage. What is to be done even for that is a big question for a country like us, where we have more than 400,000 heritage monuments, whether they be in the spiritual space, whether they be in any other space. So I think for a country like India, this is an extremely important segment for us to work on. And all of us together as society, as people, we need to spend our thinking resources and actual resources. You might all be aware, the ministry, in collaboration with the Ministry of Culture and the ASI, runs a project called the Adopt a Heritage project. And we look forward to a lot of initiatives coming from the private sector, individuals, institutions, not-for-profit organizations to come forth and work with us to truly preserve and conserve our heritage. Because there's no point in us harping on it but not working for it. And so if we really, really want to tell the world India is incredible, then we really must join hands at all levels, because India is India for all of us. And that little nook and cranny just outside your home, if there's a story waiting over there, it could be a small oral tradition to which you are used to, and so to you it might appear small. But believe me, to somebody else listening to it miles away, it could be something so interesting, so beautiful. So let's start working together on these little stories, little tales, little monuments, those art forms, cultural forms, dance forms, music, food forms. There are just so many things. And so thank you, congratulations, I should say, and thank you once again to the Gujarat government for inviting me, for having me in this forum, and for letting me share some of my thoughts. And I hope that I've been also able to convey some passion through this. So thank you, Jenu, for taking this up. I'm sure we'll be collaborating and working together on this. And thank you to all the viewers, to all the listeners who've tuned in, and namaste.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rupinder Bara, for the positivity and energy you bring to the subject under discussion. Gujarat's UNESCO World Heritage Sites in particular. You create hope in all of us. As you aptly mentioned, a subcontinent that has more than 1,600 languages, 4,000 cities, and much more. I'm sure Adopt a Heritage project is and will be supported by initiatives coming from the private sector, individuals, institutions, and NGOs. We are sure under your leadership at MOT, Incredible India will touch new heights. Thank you so much for being here with us. I am delighted to now invite the energetic and forthcoming Ms. Jyoti Mayal, President Thai, to share her insights and views on Gujarat's UNESCO World Heritage Sites with our wonderful audience.
Namaskar. It's a pleasure to address the audience on this platform, UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Gujarat, by today's traveler, I think, which is a wonderful initiative by Gujarat Tourism and them to get together to look at the familiarizing these locations to the Indian travel fraternity and tourists. I'd like to also congratulate here the entire Tourism Ministry of Gujarat, and especially Mr. Jenu Diwan and team for always having these timely initiatives and preparing the travel industry for the same. Let me share something that you probably didn't know. In the 16th century, the capital of Gujarat was Champaner, an almost abundant town of ruins now. Now the entire area of Champaner Pavagadh Archaeological Park is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a must visit for everyone who loves to explore architecture and history. I'm very sure that many people may not even be aware of the 40 listed sites in India, and the latest being the Dholavira, a Harappan city in Gujarat. Falling under the category of or approval of the UNESCO site does make a considerable difference for any country. In addition, it's a matter of pride and honor for the people of the town or the city to have made it to the elite UNESCO list. It not only acts as a catalyst for tourism promotion of the region as a whole, but much more beyond. Going by the footfalls, although there is no concrete figure, however, estimates that says that it got quadrupled in the last 4 decades. I must compliment Ministry of Tourism, Government of India for launching schemes such as Adopt a Heritage, basically giving leeway to the corporate sector to come forward to manage and take care of sites of much importance to any culture or region. The private sector can play a pivotal role in maintaining such sites. We can't rely on the government for everything. These sites belong to us and we belong to them. And therefore, we at TIE can positively bring in more people and corporates, NGOs with experience in managing, developing infrastructure who may leverage the opportunity, eventually reaching break-even and en route to self-sustainable management of such sites. As mentioned by our Honorable Prime Minister and reiterated by the Minister of Tourism in Gujarat at many occasions, we need to educate the younger generation about their history and culture, which could lead to instigate and inspire them to visit such sites. Coming from the travel and tourism fraternity, we can certainly facilitate in terms of offering the best of the best itineraries, simplest and shortest and comfortable routes, and above all, push government to develop infrastructure, which we believe is the need of the hour. In the end, with a lot of emphasis, I would like to congratulate once again the Government of India by today's traveler, and much so the Government of Gujarat, and especially for this remarkable achievement. Gujarat Tourism is truly a promoter of tourism, and with their officials who are all doers and achievers, and someone who are committed towards tourism. That states need to overlook a lot more than we realize. We at TIE have been working very closely with them and MOT to do and believe that this is just the beginning. Our great nation, which has so many unexplored and culturally rich sites, would certainly make it to the elite list in the coming years. My best wishes again to everyone personally for being present here and for discussing such an exclusive topic and bringing out the importance of the same. Thank you and namaskar.
Thank you for the power address, Jyoti, and bringing forward one of the most interesting facts that in the 16th century, the capital of Gujarat was Champaner. And today the entire area of Champaner, Pavagadh Archaeological Park is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Making the message very clear from TIE that these sites belong to us and we belong to them. Yes, they truly belong to us, not just because we are a part of the tourism industry, but also as proud citizens of India. We are responsible for the upkeep of these UNESCO sites that our ancestors have left for us. I would like to thank you for being here with us today. We would now like to share a great video on new Kesario to share with you all. I hope you enjoy it. May we have the video, please?
तने लाग्यो ला गरबा केसरियो रंग तने लाग्यो रे लो केसरियो रंग तने लाग्यो ला गरबा केसरियो रंग तने लाग्यो रे लो केसरियो रंग तने लाग्यो ला गरबा केसरियो रंग तने लाग्यो रे लो झीणी झीणी जारियो मिलावो ला गरबा झीणी झीणी जारियो मिलावो रे लो केसरियो रंग तने लाग्यो ला गरबा केसरियो रंग तने लाग्यो रे लो केसरियो रंग तने लाग्यो ला गरबा केसरियो रंग तने लाग्यो रे लो
When the falling streams of water become your therapist, when the shimmering rays become your healer, when the earth becomes your guide to the memory lanes, when the heritage tower becomes your storyteller of history, when the Mahatma Gandhi's testaments become your foundation for the future, when the forest king becomes your companion to the nature, when the scenic becomes a living, making you feel beautiful. Certainly, you are in the destination that is full of life. When the heroes of past become your inspiration for patriotism, when the authentic palate becomes your partner for merriment, when the abundance of talent becomes your growth legacy, when the quality of healthcare becomes your remedy to good recovery, come to celebrate life. Come to Gujarat.
I am delighted to invite the erudite Mr. Ajay Prakash, President, TAFI, to share his thoughts on Gujarat's UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
I congratulate Gujarat Tourism on the fact that now there are 4 World Heritage Sites, UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Gujarat. And I congratulate Gujarat Tourism on taking this initiative of holding a webinar on these sites and inviting people from the tourism sphere as well as UNESCO to speak to this lovely audience, to talk about how World Heritage Sites provide a vital link to our past and a bridge to the future to bring home the fact that we have a strong, a vibrant culture, one that needs preservation and one that needs the world to learn about. So this is wonderful that Gujarat has got yet another UNESCO World Heritage Site tag. In July, Dholavira was tagged as a World Heritage Site. And with this, the Gujarat tally comes to 4, which is quite remarkable. But with the walled city of Ahmedabad, with Champaner, with Rani Ki Vav at Patan, and now with Dholavira, Gujarat's like done very, very well. The tagging of a site as a UNESCO World Heritage Site is a very important thing to happen, because one, it recognizes the contribution that the place has made to the world, and two, it makes the world aware that such a site exists and that it is definitely worth visiting. It gives not only a fillip to the destination, but what it also does is to re-emphasize the cultural, the traditional, the natural contribution that the place or the culture or the country has made to human civilization as a whole. But having got the tag, it's very important what we do with it. The access to such sites, for example, Dholavira. Now, Dholavira is only connected by this one road or bridge. So access needs to be looked at. The carrying capacity of the place needs to be looked at. And the infrastructure for tourism often needs to be constructed from scratch. So these are the issues that become even more important when you're talking about a World Heritage Site. Because a modern place, yes, you know, it's for example, a beautiful garden. You can rebuild, you can do things with it if it is overrun by tourism. But you can't do that with a heritage site because it's there. And the uniqueness of that place is what made it the World Heritage Site. So therefore, it's very important that we take all these factors into consideration when we talk about tourism. Tourism at the end of the day has to be sustainable. It has to be something, a legacy that you can leave on for future generations, not something that you enjoy and degrade, because that's one of the problems that we've seen occasionally with tourism, that sometimes it degrades the very environment or the very place of which it is thriving. And that's something that is not acceptable anymore. So we need to plan the infrastructure, the access, and the experience itself in such a way that A, it's interesting, and B, it is sustainable. The other thing that I've noticed when I visited, and we have 40 such sites in India, is the signage. I mean, signage is a very, very important part of the experience. And proper signage in a way that is easily understood is very critical. The other thing that's very important at places like this is the quality of the guide, because a guide can make or mar your experience totally. And if you go without a guide, well, you get maybe 10% of what the site has to offer. So a well-trained, a well-educated, a presentable guide is also a very important part of this experience. And this is something that we all who are in the tourism business need to look at and ensure that we have the right quality of guides, especially for heritage sites. Apart from this, we've got to make sure that we educate our tourists on how to behave at such sites. Because very often we've seen things like scratches, people writing their names on, on monuments. Now, all this is absolutely a no-go. And each one of us who's in the tourism business has a responsibility to educate our tourists, our passengers, our friends, our colleagues who visit such places. Another issue is cleanliness. Swachh Bharat is a mission which needs to become a reality. And for that, each one of us has to do our own bit. It's only when you have a clean environment that you have a happy tourist with a good experience. So each one of us needs to make sure that we contribute to that as well. It's a pleasure to be here, to be speaking to all of you. And thank you, Gujarat Tourism, for holding this webinar.
Thank you, Ajay, for joining us here today. You have raised such pertinent points on signage, cleanliness, guides, etc. at heritage destinations, which is the kind of feedback the very proactive and efficient team of Gujarat Tourism would be taking forward. I believe cleanliness and sustainability are the need of the hour, and I'm sure each of our listeners here today will take forward their own contribution in keeping monuments and heritage sites clean and neat. Thank you, Ajay. Thank you very much. It is my great pleasure to invite the travel industry's go-getter, Mr. P.P. Khanna, President ADTOI, to speak on Discover Gujarat's UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
First of all, we are thankful to Gujarat Tourism Board for taking this initiative for the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. We are thankful to Tourism Secretary and the MD Commissioner of Gujarat Tourism, Mr. Denu Devan, for taking the initiative to understand the importance of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. As everybody knows, Gujarat is a state full of wonders, both natural and man-made. The state of Gujarat, with its rich history, culture, art, craft, cuisine, attire, and it's a home to 4 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. It's a great initiative. I must say that they are doing this for location, familiarizing for the travel fraternity and to the tourists. And Gujarat is shining with 4 World Heritage Sites, namely the latest, the Dholavira, is an archaeological site at Kutch district. And recently on 27th of July 2021, UNESCO has announced the Harappan city of Dholavira in Gujarat as the 40th World Heritage Site of India. The site contains the ruins of an ancient Indus Valley civilization, Harappan city. The second site, which is actually very, the Queen Step well, it's called as the Rani Ki Vav. It's at Patan, and it is situated in the times of Patan in Gujarat, and it's located on the banks of Saraswati River. Rani Ki Vav features on new 100 rupees notes also, which is amazing for all of us Indians. And the third site, which is very important, is the Champaner near Pavagadh. The original city at Champaner on the foot of Pavagadh Hills was built by Vanraj Chavda in 1746 CE. A site for who loves architecture and history. The structure represents a perfect blend of Hindu, Muslim architecture. Now the important is, the Ahmedabad, the historic city of Ahmedabad, founded by Ahmad Shah I of Gujarat Sultanate in 1411 and still remains the capital of Gujarat. The city is famous for walls, gates, forts, city with numerous mosques as well as Hindu and Jain temples of later period. The presence of institutions belonging to many regions, Muslim, Islam, Buddhism, Christianity, makes the history urban structure of Ahmedabad an exceptional and unique example of multicultural coexistence. Now let us come back to exactly why it is important to promote the UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Gujarat. India has a lot of scope for these World Heritage Sites to visit by our own domestic tourists. As you know, domestic tourism is the savior for today. As after pandemic, we are seeing the situations, and it's very important to promote the domestic tourism into these sites. There is a lot of scope in these locations for tourism And Gujarat tourism has a lot to do of marketing to the masses via TV, social media, or some documentary films to be shown to the public, and also motivate to film industry to shoot films in these locations, which may attract a lot of tourists to these locations. So it's very important that film tourism can also be promoted in those sites, and there should be sufficient hotels, restaurants, accommodations, like the food joints nearby these locations. And important is the connectivity. Connectivity has a very important factor to reach all these sites of the UNESCO by road or by rail or by air. So if you really see that the Dholavira, which is the latest one, and also has been promoted very well by the Gujarat tourism, but the connectivity has to look into that. That's my request to the Gujarat tourism, to the tourism secretary and the MD, Mr. Jainuddin. Under this pandemic situation, government has to take care about hygiene, sanitization for the visit tourist. They feel so that they feel safe. And if any entrance fees is there, ASI or the controlling body should give some subsidy for the domestic tourism to promote these sites. I'm really once again thank you to the Gujarat tourism, the tourism secretary, and the MD, and all the the team, his team, for promoting all these tourism sites and the World Heritage Sites to promote. And we are thankful to giving this opportunity into the travel fraternity to promote these sites. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the wonderful address, Mr. Khanna. I completely agree with you on the fact that domestic tourism is the savior today, and we must continue to promote domestic tourism into these sites always in the future. Hygiene and sanitization is the need of the hour, and destinations need to abide by them. I would like to say thank you again for being with us. We have an amazing video on Patan to share with you all. It will surprise you and delight you. May we have the video, please?
Life is a mystery. Discover it. Patan, the land famous for its patola. Here, explore Rani Ki Vav, the queen of stepwells. Deemed a heritage site by the UNESCO, lasting for over 10 centuries are these 7 stories of history, built on 340 strong pillars. Discover Sahasraling Lake, which held natural water that was purer than most current water filters. Solve the mysteries of history. Come back to life. Come to Gujarat.
I welcome our next speaker, Mr. Rajiv Mehra, President IATO, to share his thoughts on the subject of our very interesting webinar, Discover Gujarat's UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear friends. It is indeed a pleasure to be at the webinar on Discover UNESCO World Heritage Site of Gujarat and address this audience. The state of Gujarat, with its rich history and home to 4 of India's UNESCO World Heritage Sites, with the inclusion of Dholavira of Kutch in the list of World Heritage Sites in 2021. Gujarat shines on the World Heritage map, being a state with 4 World Heritage Sites, which are Dholavira, a Harappan era city in Gujarat, Champaner near Pavagadh, Rani Ki Vav in Patan, and the historic city of Ahmedabad. It is a great initiative by Gujarat Tourism for familiarization these locations to the Indian travel fraternity and tourists. Tour operators and heritage hoteliers of Gujarat have lauded the state government's renewed heritage tourism and homestay policies. This is a great opportunity for the World Heritage City of Ahmedabad, because local residents will now be able to easily start with homestays and bed and breakfast. While it will certainly help huge properties to promote heritage and tourism in a big way, smaller players can reap the maximum benefit from this. Talking about archaeological and heritage tourism, within Gujarat, there are a wide variety of historic forts, palaces, mosques, temples, and places of historical importance in India's struggle for independence. Many of these palaces and forts have been converted into heritage hotels to keep tourists close to the vibrant history of Gujarat. For example, Lakshmi Vilas Palace, Vadodara, is reputed to have been the largest private dwelling built. There are sites which are underdeveloped and are considered to have huge development potentials. World heritage sites like Lothal, Dholavira, and Champaner offer a great scope for tourism. The Royal Orient train offers a 7 days, 8-night package that covers important heritage locations in Rajasthan and Gujarat. We have archaeological sites such as Lothal and Dholavira and Champaner, and historical places such as Ahmedabad, Junagadh, Bhavnagar, Porbandar, Somnath, Dwarka, Girnar, and Palitana. These places need to be conserved and maintained. Further conservations and development of activities and accommodation in these projects would help to attract foreign tourists in the state as well. We have the longest ropeway in Asia at Mount Girnar. Champaner, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, in Pavagadh Archaeological Park, is very rich in temples of Hindu and Jain architectural mosque and water retaining installations. Thus, it is a place of interest for foreign tourists. The development and proper showcase of site can draw many foreign tourists to allow understanding and appreciation of heritage, which help in development area and employment generation to local people. One of the most prominent tourism products which are getting popular all over the world is heritage walkthrough. Heritage walks offer the scope of revenue generation and upkeep of lesser known structures while keeping history alive for future generation. The function of heritage walk also very widely augment tourism. There are key purposes of culture, heritage trail, promoting preservation and conservation. Thus, the scope of the site can be summed up by saying that heritage tourism is important for various reasons. It has a positive economic and social impact. It establishes and reinforces identity. It helps preserve the cultural heritage, with culture as an instrument of facilitation, harmony, and understanding among people. It supports culture and helps renew tourism. These are my thoughts, and I hope you have enjoyed it. I congratulate Gujarat Tourism and Mr. Jenu Devan, MD, for organizing this wonderful webinar today. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Rajiv, for sharing your thoughts. You have correctly mentioned that the development and proper showcase of sites can draw many foreign tourists and allow a better understanding and appreciation of India's great heritage, which helps in the development of the tourist areas and employment generation to local people of that destination. Thank you so much for being here with us. I would now like to request Mr. Jeno Devan, Managing Director and Commissioner Tourism, Government of Gujarat, to give his address to this wonderful and educative familiarization webinar on Discover the UNESCO World Heritage Sites of Gujarat.
Good morning, all of you. All the esteemed guests who are present in this meeting, Ms. Vidya Ma'am, DG ASI, Government of India, Mrs. Rubinder Brown Ma'am, ADG, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, Mr. Vinod Sujjisar IAS, retired, and he was a secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Mr. Eric Fall, Director and UNESCO Representative to India, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, and Maldives. Ms. Jyoti Mail, President TAI. Ajay Prakash, President TAFI. Mr. Rajiv Mehra, President IOTO, and Mr. P.P. Ganna, President ADTOA, and all other esteemed guests who are present in this webinar. Actually, it was a wonderful occasion for the state of Gujarat when our Dholavira site was declared as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is a third site, the third World Heritage Site that is being declared within the state of Gujarat, along with the historical city of Ahmedabad, which has been declared as a World Heritage City in the year 2017. So it was a long ambition from the state of Gujarat, the tourism department, and other departments that are aligned with this sector to organize such a familiarization program for all around the world to make you all familiar with what is happening in the state of Gujarat in terms of tourism, heritage, culture, and how we are promoting and keeping and restoring all these heritage monuments within the state of Gujarat. So today that ambition has been almost fulfilled because we are able to present you what we have got for all the esteemed people and through your platform to whoever, those who are aligned to the industry, the various historical monuments and heritage sites within the state of Gujarat, and how the state of the government of Gujarat is promoting such state sites within the state. Obviously, all of you know that India is a land of diversities, and in terms of tourism, the incredible India has to offer a lot to the tourist, whether it is domestic tourist or international tourist or local tourists who are going around the state, for them to spend one day night or a 2-day night or a long 1 month journey throughout India. So it can be in terms of ecotourism sites, sustainable tourism products, or wildlife sanctuaries, heritage sites like Dholavira, Rani Ki Vav, Champaner World Heritage Site, a city like Ahmedabad. But when it comes to Gujarat, whatever we have to offer within India is obviously there to be seen in Gujarat, maybe except for the ice portion, which you can see in the Himalayas. So in terms of that, the state is promoting those portions throughout the world, and we are getting a good response from people around the world. In fact, before the COVID struck, the number of tourists who were visiting the state were almost touching 6 crores, and the number was increasing at almost a rate of 13% throughout for the last 6 to 7 years before that. The COVID has played a role in bringing down the number, but still the tourism industry is reviving within the state. So only we are expecting when our borders will be open for the foreign tourists to visit all these sites. The heritage sites and the monuments, we have plenty of them being protected by the state culture department, the state ASI, as well as the Central Archaeological Survey of India. And all of them are very good attractions to the tourists who are visiting the state. But only thing is that how to attract more and more tourists towards them. And we wanted to showcase to the tour operators, the travel agents, tourist fraternity, what is to be seen there, what are the infrastructures the government has created in and around them. And we wanted a platform. And today we have got that opportunity through your platform, this webinar. I hope that this will be a good beginning for the state of Gujarat. In the year 2004, Champaner Pavagadh Archaeological Park was declared as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is just almost 3-hour journey from the main city, or where the airport is situated, the main city of Ahmedabad. And it is the 16th century. It was considered as the capital of Gujarat. and it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which has, you can say, which is a complete product where we can see how a Mughal city, a Mughal capital was created at that time. The site is attracting a large number of domestic as well as local tourists. But the product is a bit unknown to the foreign tourists. So right now we are coming out with good market channels to promote this site, and a good quality light and sound show also to tell the story to the people who are visiting them there, what exactly it used to be during the 16th century. In 2014, the Rani Ki Vav in Patan district, which is almost another 3-hour journey towards the north of Gujarat, it was declared as a World Heritage Site. It is located in the banks of the historical and mythical river Saraswati, and it's a sign of Maru Gujarat archaeological style. So it's almost a 900-year-old structure, which is considered to be built by the Queen Bhanubani in the memory of her late husband. And it is almost attracting a large number of foreign tourists, and you can say almost it attracts 40,000 tourists per month, and it's a must-see location in terms of the stepwell culture the state of Gujarat is having. It's a speciality of our state. Then came in 2017, old city of Ahmedabad was declared as a World Heritage City. The old city has got almost 20 such must-see old monuments, which are being well protected by the state government as well as the municipal corporation of Ahmedabad. We have got very good heritage walk that is being organized by the local body, the municipal corporation of Ahmedabad, which has got a heritage cell of its own. So both corporation as well as the tourism department have come together, and we are promoting this old city in a very good fashion, and it is attracting a large number of local, domestic, as well as foreign tourists every year. Finally, it is a turn of Dholavira this year, and this journey is going to go future also, and more sites of Gujarat will definitely be declared as World Heritage Site. Dholavira is a Harappan city, and it is a very good example of how the Indus Valley civilization used to have very good or well-organized cities at that time, which is examples of urban planning where you can have well-planned roads as well as water storage structures and drainage structures, which reduce the difficulties of the people who lived during those periods. So this site has gained the attraction of tourists, and since it is a bit away from the main city of Ahmedabad, and it is almost 6-hour journey from the main city, popularity of the site used to be a little low till this moment, but since it is now being declared as a World Heritage Site, it is going to attract a large number of tourists in future. My sincere request to all of you is that many of you have, during your speech, especially Mr. Eric Falt, has showed his intention to visit the state of Gujarat. I sincerely request all of you who are present over this platform to please come and visit all these wonderful monuments we have got. And in Gujarat, there is a say, rather in Hindi, there is a say that Kuch din to Gujariya Gujarat mein. It actually means seeing is what is actually believing. So Kuch din to Gujariya actually means you do come and stay for some time in Gujarat to see the beauty of our state. Thank you for giving us this opportunity, and my sincere gratitude to all those who are present in this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jenudevan, for the closing address and your insights on the various inputs given by the esteemed speakers today. The panelists and the audience greatly appreciate your proactive approach and sincerity in addressing the highlights brought forward by our distinguished speakers. I once again thank Mr. Devan for giving us the opportunity to do this wonderful familiarization webinar on UNESCO World Heritage Sites of Gujarat. I now will leave you with a video, a marvelous video, on the latest edition of World Heritage Sites in Gujarat, Dholavira. Enjoy the video, and thank you everyone. Thank you so much.
Near the western tip of India, in the state of Gujarat, there exists an amazing piece of land, the Run of Kutch. In the summers, the seawater moves onto the land and covers it up completely, while during the winters, the waters recede, leaving behind stretches of white sheets that look like snow. Only it isn't snow, but tons and tons of salt left behind by the sea waters. And herein, under the shimmering land of the Run, is a city in deep slumber for over 5,000 years. A civilization waiting to be rediscovered. Dholavira, a futuristic metropolis of the past. Discovered as recently as 1967, Dholavira, also known as Kotara, is amongst the 5 largest Harappan cities. Spread over 100 acres, this model city was embraced by 2 stormwater runnels, the Manhar in the south and the Mansar in the north. A remarkable feature of this city was its tremendous sense of town planning. It is believed that the rulers lived in the upper town, also called as the citadel, which had majestic mansions and was fortified with huge walls. Just behind, on the western side, was the bailey, allotted to the people working in the citadel for the royal family. To the north of the citadel was the middle town, where the well-to-do class people must have lived, as is evident from the neat arrangement of the spacious houses. The third part of the city was the lower town, which was probably populated by ordinary people, such as potters and farmers. The different layers of bricks and constantly altering town planning tell a story of the 7 stages of this metropolis. And what was unique about this ancient settlement was its water management system. Imagine a sophisticated water harnessing system of bunds and dams to harness waters from the 2 rivulets. A channel was used to divert water from the Manhar rivulet to fill the reservoir opposite to the eastern entrance of the citadel. Imagine a whole town surrounded by reservoirs for storing more than 3,25,000 cubic yards of water. This water was then effectively diverted to adjacent reservoirs for filtration. The filtered water was connected to a well within the citadel. This well diverted the water into the step well with mud chambers, one for drinking and the other for washing. Further, this water was also let out for industrial and agricultural use. These wonderfully cut circular bases of the pillars. What kind of heavy machinery did the people use during those times? And these two pillars here, was this a gateway to welcome the gods? And these huge doors with robust locking systems. From where did the Dholavirans acquire such superb engineering skills? Questions like these still lie unanswered. Dholavira is also known for its two open-air stadiums, one of which is probably the world's oldest and the biggest, covering an area of 160,000 square feet. Was this a public space for religious ceremonies or an amphitheatre for sports and performances? Microbeads found here makes one wonder about the kind of sophisticated instruments that must have been used to create such perfectly rounded masterpieces. These well laid out shopping places must have been thriving bazaars where merchants from across the world would have mingled and conducted business. Yet another significant discovery of Dholavira, a signboard with inscriptions, has still not been deciphered. Did these represent the name of the city? No one has been able to understand them yet. And a separate funeral site, where only objects dear to the departed souls were placed, indicates just one thing. The people of Dholavira believed in life after death. Colorful beads, human and animal terracotta figurines, decorative motifs, copper and bronze articles, fine tools, beautiful seals. All these artifacts reflect an affluently urban lifestyle of the people who lived here. For students of life, these are facets of ancient wisdom to be experienced and rediscovered in person. Wisdom that continues to live in these villages of Kutch. Knowledge that is still alive in the lifestyles of these people. Skills that continue to draw and inspire visitors from across the world. And it is all here in this vibrant land called Gujarat, a land known for its warmth and hospitality, a land where life is a celebration. Dholavira, a futuristic metropolis of the past.